This is Punk Rock and Politics, and today is March 7th, 2017, and this is episode number 11. Let's do this.
These days are strange, it's true.
I would bomb the shit out of them.
If you think that punk rock doesn't mix with politics, you're wrong.
Welcome to Punk Rock and Politics. Today we're talking to Andrew Wasson from the band Life Lessons about the band's recent tour, life in Oklahoma, lessons from earthquakes, and the Trump presidency. Then, on Open Mic's Last Call, we'll talk about the recent surge in the stock market and the debt ceiling and why it's so important. So let's get to the political mosh pit. But first, here's the news of the week.
Here's what's making news.
President Trump gave his first State of the Union address Tuesday, focusing on budget cuts, increased military spending, and of course, his Great Wall that is estimated to cost $15 billion. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is under criticism after a recent report revealed he had two conversations with Moscow's U.S. envoys during the 2016 presidential campaign, where Jeff Sessions was a vocal supporter of Donald Trump. Top Democratic leaders are calling him to step down, but President Trump doesn't think Sessions should recuse himself of the investigation of the Russian interfering in the 2016 election. However, Jeff Sessions held a press conference where he did recuse himself of that investigation. Saturday morning, President Trump went to Twitter to accuse former President Obama of wiretapping the Trump Tower during the 2016 presidential campaign. Hours later, a statement from a spokesperson for President Obama denied the wiretap and stated that President Obama did not illegally spy on any American citizen. However, history and as well as the Edward Snowden revelations revealed all Americans are being spied on, but the FBI denies a specific wiretap of Donald Trump at the Trump Tower. A Oklahoma-based tribe called the Pawnee Nation sued several oil companies in its own tribal court. The tribe accused the oil companies of dumping their wastewater, who then injected it into the wells operated by the defendants, which caused the 5.8 magnitude quake a few miles out of Pawnee, Oklahoma in September 2016. Kurt Marshall, one of the attorneys representing the Pawnee Nation, stated that the lawsuit was filed in tribal court primarily so that the Pawnee Nation could assert its sovereignty. From 1980 to the year 2000, on average, Oklahoma only had 2 earthquakes a year of magnitude 2.7 or higher. That number jumped to about 2,500 in 2014 and then 4,000 in 2015, creating a substantial connection to the recent fracking boom in the state of Oklahoma. Here at Punk Rock and Politics, we send all of our best wishes to the native sovereign nations fighting the corporate oil powers in order to preserve our Earth. Sunday, North Korea launched several missiles, with some landing close to Japan. The Trump administration is considering military response to the North Korean missile program. On Monday, President Trump signed a revised version of the executive order travel ban that will limit and restrict immigration from 6 countries, removing Iraq from the ban list, which was a country that was on the previous executive order that was struck down in court last month. And on this day in rock history, March 7th, 1975, David Bowie released his 9th studio album, Young Americans. The album featured the song Fame, which ultimately gave Bowie his first US #1 single. And that's the news of the week! The older I get, the more I seem to resent new music. However, there always seems to be a glimmer of light in the darkness of bland, generic pop music, and the band Life Lessons is a shining beacon in these dark times. Life Lessons mixes aggressive punk riffs with melodic melodies and in-depth emotional lyrics that bring it all together. The band is from Oklahoma, the heartland of America, and they definitely own the Midwestern punk sound as they travel the US in their most recent tour. And if bands such as Life Lessons are the future of punk rock, I know good things are to come, and maybe, just maybe, I can become slightly less cynical about the direction of melodic punk. I was able to talk to Andrew Wasson, the bassist from the band, but first, let's hear one of their songs titled Reflecting by Life Lessons.
Selfishly state that I'm afraid to leave. No longer confidential for me. This is what it's like on the other side of apathy. Reflecting nothing while you feel everything. Honestly, apologies are nothing. Looking back won't change anything. But this is not how you do things. If I'm distant, I know I've been quiet, but I'm busy digging through my head, trying to find what I made myself forget. Pick back up where we left, or leave the past where it is. Remember just enough to know how to forgive. No matter how this ends tonight, you won't forget. How could you forget? If you even look at me the same again. Selfishly state that I'm afraid to leave. No longer sure that you care if I say this is what it's like on the other side of apathy. Reflecting nothing while you feel everything. Honestly, apologies are nothing. Looking back won't change anything.
And that was Reflecting by Life Lessons, and we actually have Andrew here with us on the show. What's up, Andrew?
Hey man, how's it going?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us. So,
Yeah, thank you for having me.
yeah, definitely. I really dig the band. You guys have that like Midwest post-punk kind of feel. Do you get that often?
We get Midwestern.
Yeah.
I think post-punk is kind of new, but we'll take it.
Yeah, I think that's the quote unquote the new like edgier pop punk. I like title, I guess, but I don't know. It sounds cool, I guess, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you guys, your music is really edgy. I'm from Southern California, so I love that sound, and I feel like the whole Midwest has kind of taken it to another level, the whole pop punk sound.
Cool.
So, yeah, and you guys are doing it. So let's introduce the band and what they do. So we have Caden, Josh, Andrew, Chris, and Alex.
Yes, that's right.
Cool. And then what's everyone's position and what's their role?
Caden sings. He's the front man. Josh and Alex are our two guitar players. I play bass, and Chris is our drummer.
Cool, awesome. And then you have the brand new album, or the latest album. It's I Know What I'm Not, and that came out in 2016, just a few months ago.
Right.
Cool. And that's what all these songs that we're playing today are off that EP.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, that's a really awesome EP. Everyone should go check it out. And they'll hear a few songs on it today. But I saw you guys. Did you guys just wrap up a tour?
Yeah, we just got home from our first full U.S. tour like 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
We were out with Home Safe and Chase Huglin for about 5 weeks, and we had a blast. It was a really good tour, and I'm still kind of adjusting to being back home, but It was great. We had a lot of fun, and couldn't ask for a better group of guys to tour with for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I was following some of your posts on social media as you're going through the touring situation, and you guys were adding shows and then asking some people, if you needed to crash, have a place to crash. And I was totally typical band tour life. So is there any cool stories that stuck out from the tour?
Yeah, there's a couple. We had a couple like crazy, weird, near-death experience kind of stuff.
Oh, jeez.
We were driving from. We had an off day to drive from Salt Lake City up into Seattle, and Oregon had apparently been hit with like more snow than they've had in years, which we didn't know. So as we were on the interstate going through some mountains in Oregon, we were going to take an exit and pull off the highway to go to the bathroom or whatever, and we started to take the exit and realized that the exit was a solid sheet of ice. So we went into a slide and did like a 180-degree turn on the highway on the interstate in our van with our trailer. Thankfully we didn't flip, but it was really scary. It was one of those, like, it happened really fast, but it also felt like everything kind of slowed down enough to where you had time to realize what was happening.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, and that gives you perspective on a lot of things. And it's like your life and your bandmate's life could have been in danger, but also it's like, the equipment and everything. Oh, geez.
I mean, and honestly, everything was fine. We had like a little dent on the van that wasn't a big deal. And we were all in fine shape, but it just kind of scares you a little bit. But the first thought I had when we started to slide was like, "Oh, this finally happened. This is time." Yeah, we knew it was coming. But I mean, we were fine though, and made it to Seattle just all in one piece, and it was great.
And you played the show and everything.
Nice.
It kind of maybe it'll give you some writing inspiration. Hearing that and stuff, it reminds me, Thrice, like Artists in the Ambulance. That's like, that was kind of the first thing I thought. I was like, so hey, there you go. Maybe you guys have a song idea or something in the future coming out. Cool. Well, let's check out one more song from off your the demo. I Know What I'm Not. Is it are we referring to it as like a demo or EP?
EP.
Cool, EP, yeah. Well, let's check out, here's Ivy by Life Lessons.
Did you find out if it was poison ivy that mark under your chin? You didn't know how it got there. Just a blemish on your perfect skin. We never meant to let go. We just like to pretend that we're not scared of the future. You're just as broken as I am, and that comforts me in ways you could never see. This is not who I'm supposed to be, and I'm not sure what you see in me. You never tell me what you think. You'll keep that to yourself, so tell me what you want. Am I a knight in shining armor or a boy that doesn't leave you alone? I'll make the drive every day if I have to, if you let me. So while we lay in bed for the first time in a long time, I know we win again. Just shut your mouth and try to capture it. All I can think is I hope this is not the last time. In the past, these moments have been too good to last. Let me forget it. I know I said I'm not coming back. This is not who I'm supposed to be, and I'm not sure what you see in me. You never tell me what you think. You'll keep that to yourself, so tell me what you want. Am I a knight in shining armor or a boy that doesn't leave you alone? I'll make the drive every day if I have to, if you let me. The seasons change here in seconds. I'm just too tired to protest. You change in ways that I don't get, but I'll learn to accept that. You're not the shy girl I used to know. You're not the shy girl I used to know. You're not the shy girl I used to know. If you're a flower and I'm a tree, you'll never grow at the same pace as me. I just think while you live in the moment, I never stop soaking it and enjoy it.
All right, and that was Ivy by Life Lessons, and we still have Andrew here talking about his band and the music, and now we're going to move on to some punk rock and politics and get into the political mosh pit. So, being in the Midwest, you guys are out of Oklahoma, correct?
Right.
Right. Yeah. So I imagine that's a pretty conservative neck of the woods over there.
It's the buckle of the Bible Belt. That's for sure. I think the last 2 or 3 elections, there hasn't been a single county go blue. The last 2 or 3 presidential elections, or something like that. It's really, really conservative and very religious, in evangelically, I guess.
Yeah, and that goes like all the way down to the local politics and everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you get out into the country, you will find like rural people who are registered Democrats, but they're kind of like blue dogs and they're kind of like conservative Democrats.
Yeah.
If you're talking like state and local politics, but pretty recently, I think, the Republicans have really taken control of state politics in a way that they maybe hadn't.
Yeah.
For a long time.
And that's been a kind of a nationwide trend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it's really swung. I mean, I feel like Oklahoma is for the past 100 years or so, it's been like very conservative.
Yeah.
But it used to be like 100 years ago, we had like the strongest like socialist party in the United States, like before World War I, which is kind of bizarre if you look at everything now.
Yeah.
But over time, it's kind of like flipped completely, and it's weird too because we're not like technically like Southern with like the big Southern flip that happened between the Republicans, but it's still kind of that
red conservative state.
Yeah,
and I know it's and then actually isn't Oklahoma? You guys have surpassed us over here in California for earthquakes. So I mean, that's kind of like, so just right there, you're seeing the conservative policies in action
and your policies of your new EPA chair too.
Exactly. Yeah, he was. He's become, and he did nothing when he was the Attorney General, I believe.
He's the Attorney General, right? Yeah, and I think he was also like in communication with the different energy companies in Oklahoma. Oil and natural gas is like, so in Oklahoma you have like, there's God and then there's Russell Westbrook and then there's like oil and natural gas, and that's pretty much how the state is right now.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal. And a lot of people like work in those industries and everything. But there was a lot of controversy because scientists were like releasing studies that were showing that fracking was causing the hydraulic fracturing was causing all these earthquakes, but our governor's administration would like deny that. And there was also like, I think there was a story about somebody at Devon Energy like writing a letter for like the Attorney General's office or something, saying that fracking did not cause the quakes. And Scott Pruitt, who now runs the EPA and sued the EPA a ton when he was Attorney General.
Yes. I think he said that he wanted that that branch of government or that thing gone, that agency. Yeah. And
he was like, in cahoots with Devon Energy and Chesapeake Energy and all these like different natural gas and oil companies
that are there, who are basically pumping and drilling and everything.
Yeah.
And see, this is such a such a national issue, but then it also comes down locally, like you said, and then because we also have the Dakota Access Pipeline. I just recently had a band come on talking about that, and then now they raided the tents. They raided the camp and everything, and they said they're going to be drilling within 2 weeks. Oil is going to be flowing, so it's definitely a national issue, and then we could see these small ramifications. So I wonder, is there any pushback out there in Oklahoma from it? Because I mean, I've noticed some, but I don't know if that's just a vocal minority out there.
I mean, there has been. I mean, part of the political environment of the state, though, is it's so conservative, and so much of it is rural too, and those like, as bad for the environment as that is jobs in like rural communities. I guess.
Yeah.
I grew up in a really, really small town in Oklahoma, and I knew a lot of people who, right when they graduated high school, they were going straight to the oil field because that's where the money was and that's where you could get a good job.
Especially without any education. I mean, you get a high school diploma and you could make pretty good money, right?
Right. So, yeah, there's that trade-off too, and particularly when I guess you have one party who decides to ignore science almost completely, it seems.
Yeah.
Definitely adds to the issue.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see where it goes, especially fracking. It really made more sense. I mean, it never really makes sense to me, but it made more sense before when oil was, $120 a barrel.
Right.
Now oil's $50 a barrel or something, $60 maybe tops, and it costs them $50 just to pull it out of the ground, so it just doesn't make sense at this point.
Yeah.
But they're still going and they're still drilling. Yeah. So I don't know. I think maybe me personally, trying to drive less and consume less oil, that's, what I could do. But as a group, I think getting together, protesting and talking about this is a big issue. So exactly, what part of Oklahoma are you in? And is there earthquakes there? Or Yeah?
We're all pretty much located in Oklahoma City. Josh lives in Muskogee, which is over by Tulsa in the eastern part of the state. But the rest of us are kind of spread out around the Oklahoma City area. And they've woken me up a couple of times. In our old house, I was just laying in bed one morning, on a day off from work, and I felt like my bed vibrating, and I felt like the house shaking. And then there was another time where my roommate and I, Kaden, actually, our singer, we were in the living room at our house watching football, and we heard a loud bang, a huge thud, and it sounded like somebody had driven their truck into the side of our house or something. But it was just an earthquake, and it just went with one really big bang, and then it was over. But that's not something I really ever experienced until I was 20 years old, being from here.
Right.
It's just been really new because of all the fracking that's been going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because out here, I grew up with earthquakes. I would remember in the middle of the night here and there, but it's pretty rare. It's not a big deal. Or your dog will kind of go crazy for a second, and then all of a sudden you'll feel that shake. But yeah, I heard that statistic. It kind of blew my mind, and I was like,
yeah,
I didn't realize that Oklahoma is actually past California.
That's nuts.
I know. So I'm really curious what Pruitt, what is he going to do now that he is officially, I'm pretty sure he was he was confirmed. Yeah, so he's in. I mean, yeah, we'll see. I imagine it's going to be just a dismantling of the EPA slowly.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah. So what other things about the Trump presidency intrigue you or frighten you or make you optimistic?
There's a lot that is intriguing and also a lot that's frightening, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, there's so much. I was just trying to I hadn't seen the news today because I've been running around doing errands and band practice all day, so I haven't looked, and I was scared to open up Twitter today and look for what was going on. But yeah, it seems every day there's something new, the travel ban, the immigration restrictions that he's proposing. I'm really intrigued by the issue, the Russia issue.
Yes, me too.
But I just am not quite because the evidence hasn't been released, I guess, from the FBI or whatever to what actually happened. It's hard to really know what went down, but it definitely looks fishy, and that's pretty upsetting.
It almost seems from standing back from afar, it's kind of the intelligence community, or people now they're referring to it as the deep state. They're kind of slowly leaking information on Trump, and it seems really odd because it almost paints him out to look like he's an enemy of the very people he said he was going to fight to get in there. So it almost looks like it gives him validation to his followers. And I think they're just trying to paint him with anything on the Russia thing. But like you said, the travel ban, his narcissistic views. There's so many other things that we could take him down with. Why are we focusing on Russia? You know?
Yeah, well, yeah, and I mean, I guess the issue of legitimacy is like super important. So if it did appear that there was some meddling or something going on, then that's really important. But it is like really worrisome that he seems like the other day, he referred to the press as like the enemy of the people, which is check that off the are you living under an autocrat checklist.
No, I totally agree. Once he goes after the press is just ridiculous.
It's absurd.
And they had a when he was who was he with? He was with I think it was Benjamin Netanyahu. He's doing a press conference. He answered two questions. One from townhall.com, which is a right wing website, and then the other was from Pat Robertson's organization. What is it? Christian Broadcasting Network. Those were the two reporters he took questions from. I was just like, oh my gosh. Like,
this is how this is supposed to work. It's weird because I'm like trying to like, I feel like I can understand rationally what happened in the election that got us to this point. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like I have an idea of this is what was going on. This is where the mistakes were and the kind of perfect storm that led to the election. Yeah. But I still feel like I haven't quite been able to actually like process and understand like how we got to this point. You know what I mean?
So you're not the only one who like turns on the news and be like, wait, this is reality? Like,
yeah, it's
I do that at least a few times a week, man.
It's like a really bad episode of Celebrity Apprentice. Is what
it really is. It's you've seen the movie Idiocracy, right?
A long time ago.
Okay, it's definitely time to revisit that.
Is it going to be like a little too close to reality?
Oh, it really makes you it was totally satire and a joke when it first came out, but the longer, I think it's been out for like 10 years now. You go back and watch it more recently now, and it's like, oh wow, like that could be us.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting with the whole celebrity idea and just how he's more. That was kind of the same with Obama, but Obama at least was more well spoken.
Yeah, and it's this transition's also been very weird because I disagreed with Obama on several of his policies.
Me too. Yeah.
It was, we were on like the same side of the spectrum, more or less. Even with the things I disagreed with him on, I felt like he was, competent and reasoned and intelligent, and that he would, think things through. And it seems like almost ridiculous to think that would be something that we would miss from a leader. Is just like the ability to like think through a problem and be rational and analytical about it.
But then again, we did have George Bush.
That's.
I almost kind of feel like the whole 8 years with Obama, like it was kind of like a timeout period, and it's almost like now we're repicking right off from 2008 when Bush left in a way.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about like the 2008 election and then like the Tea Party into 2010 lately because of how Trump has treated the press and the media, and how he's like decrying everything as fake news. And like I feel like not too long ago, people like Sarah Palin were coming out and talking about the liberal media and why you shouldn't trust the liberal media. And how Fox News is like your fair and balanced source for news. And I feel like we've kind of maybe like during the election, I was like, okay, conservatives in this country have made their own bed. They have made their bed with Donald Trump, and this is the downfall of the Republican Party, and everything is going away. And they're, Sarah Palin and the Tea Party and Fox News and whatever has led the GOP to ruin. And then they win both houses and the presidency. Yeah. the fake news versus the liberal media thing. I feel like that's something that's really been brewing for a while.
Oh yeah, and why he won? And really, I was watching some. As much as I can handle, I was watching CPAC. Reince Priebus and Bannon were up on stage and they're talking.
Oh,
and
man.
yeah, I know. That was a whole bunch of hard. I watched a little, but Priebus actually had a really good point though. He said that Trump was able to unite the conservative wing of the party with the establishment wing, because Priebus is establishment, Bannon is the conservative wing, and he's right. He was able to unite those two wings of that faction of that party, and that's really how he won.
Regardless of whether or not he was ever actually conservative or part of the establishment.
Oh no, yeah. At the end of the day, Trump is just out for Trump. That's all. He just wants to further his own personal agenda or his own celebrity status. That's it. He has and that's why he has fascist tendencies, but I mean, he's such a narcissist. Do you think a narcissist like that could become a fascist? Because you can't, because everyone talks so much shit. I mean, how do you just silence them? Well, I guess that's what he's trying to do. What do you think?
He's @reply them on Twitter or whatever it is he does.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and that's another thing. He should be using his POTUS Twitter handle, but he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's something else. With the election of Obama and stuff, I've been thinking a lot about the urban and rural divide too. Because
yes.
I also feel really isolated in Oklahoma City, in a sense that I feel me and my group of friends, I am surrounded by people who are similar in thinking to me most of the time as far as politics go, for the most part. But outside of that circle, it's very different here. So I've been trying to go back to the 2008 election and what I remember people in my small town saying about Obama, whether it was just your typical grade A racism or the things that got repeated from Breitbart or the Drudge Report.
He's a commie socialist,
he's
working for the Muslim Brotherhood or whatever. Yeah.
That people latched onto that, and I think Trump has definitely played into that hand of these rural people who feel they're forgotten about or whatever, or feel government doesn't represent them.
Mm-hmm. Well, how he got his foot in is with the birther.
Is with the birther thing. Yeah,
that's how he got his foot in with those people, and then that kind of got him good footing, and then he was able to use the election and the press to be able to get all the attention. Yeah. I mean, I definitely I see it as swings, and that was the problem, because the whole political landscape swung left. But like you were saying, is Obama did a lot of stuff, but even the ACA, I don't think that was far enough to the left. I think it should have just do Medicare buy-in. Or threaten single payer, so then the Republicans will go along with the Medicare buy-in. And so our swing to the left that we had after Reaganomics wasn't really a swing to the left. It was a fake swing to the left. Now we're going back to the right, and it's whoa, we didn't even fix a lot of this stuff. Sure, we have gay marriage, and the minimum wage went up a little bit in a few states, but other than that, we haven't had that much over the past 20 years from all the liberals we had in office.
Right. Yeah, particularly I guess economically for people in those communities, because it's where are the jobs? Unless you're in agriculture or you're in the oil field.
I heard a statistic. I mean, it's totally 51% of all the jobs created in 2016, 51% were in California.
Wow.
Yeah, out of all of America, 51%. So, like you said, because of and then I bet if you would even look at it further broken down, I bet the other 30% that's not in California is probably out of New York.
Or
I'm sure
Silicon Valley or something.
Well, no, that's what 51%. I'm sure most of that 51% is out of Silicon Valley. Yeah, definitely. But the other 49% is probably most out of New York and Washington, because you said that divide. I lived in Arizona, Phoenix Mesa area for 7 years, so I feel you with that. There's and people here on the coast, there's definitely, they live in a bubble. and then the people in the rural areas, they have this like resentment, to the people in the bubble, and it kind of, it's just a never ending cycle, it seems.
It's like palpable. The culture is so like starkly different, I feel like, in so many like smaller areas, like like where I grew up, it's like deep red, very religious, and it's very insular. Like, everybody and everybody's business, but if you come in as an outsider, it's really different and difficult, I feel like, to kind of break into that.
Yeah.
And like, these, you have people who come out who grow up in rural areas and they never leave, and they don't experience, I guess, like the rest of the world or what that has to offer, and maybe they end up like fearing it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's kind of maybe what I don't know if this is a correct assumption or not, but like so many people, their fear of Islam or of Muslims or whatever, if the only exposure you ever get to Islam is a radical guy blowing something up on TV, and you don't know that, it's like the largest religion in the world or the fastest growing religion in the world, one or the other, and is practiced peacefully with a lot of people, then I guess you would be afraid of that.
Because you're just seeing one perspective. That's
right.
You're getting fed from Breitbart News or
and if all you watch is Fox News and everybody around you is a white evangelical Christian, then coming from like growing up out there to living in the city and traveling the country and stuff, and then maybe like going back to these rural areas now, I feel incredibly like different doing it now than versus when I was like 14 years old or whatever. But I mean, I guess that probably accounts for a lot of the divide. Is
definitely, because I think a lot of the liberal elites or the city goers, they, the only time they go out to the country or anything, they'll go out to Sonoma or to go, try wine or something, or they'll go out for a camping trip and then go right back in, and they won't actually meet people or talk to people. And then if you do have family who's in the Midwest, they're a Trump supporter, so I'm going to block them on Facebook. I'm defriending them. I'm not dealing with that. That was a problem this last election. So I think, and me living in Arizona, a lot of my liberal views I got a little bit more conservative on, and then I opened up, so I kind of balanced myself. And then now moving back to liberal California, a lot of things I love, and then a lot of things I'm like, they are kind of a little too strict on that here. So I think it's all about trying to see the other people's perspective, and I think you're totally hit the nail on the head with the city versus rural divide. Yeah,
I've read somewhere a while back that the divide wasn't so much red state, blue state as it was like urban, rural.
Yes.
I just thought that was like really interesting, and that kind of like flipped my whole.
Look at a congressional voting map. That's and then look at like a map of all the major cities, and it's all the major cities are blue and everywhere else is red. That's just how it is. I don't know if that, it also has a lot to do with gerrymandering, but that's a whole nother issue.
Other thing,
that we could do a whole issue on. But we're going to wrap it up. We covered a lot of issues, and I think talking about this rural urban divide was great, because I'm over here, Southern California, we're jam-packed with people. You're over there in rural Oklahoma and experiencing that, and you traveled America with your band Life Lessons. So thanks for coming on Punk Rock and Politics and giving us your perspective.
Hey, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, definitely. I try to get the artists talking about what they want, and let's get perspective of what's going on, and then check out some great music. So let's check out some more. I love to call it the Midwest. The Midwest pop punk, post punk, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, it's great. So check out Life Lessons. But hey, Andrew, before you go, can you tell everyone what's the best way if they want to check out more of your guys' music?
We're online on Spotify and iTunes and stuff. You can also go to lifelessonsband.com. There's like a link to our Bandcamp page and all of that stuff there. That's probably the best place as of right now to hear our stuff.
Cool. Yeah, or just Google them and check them out. It's awesome. So thanks again, Andrew. And on our way out here, we're going to check out one more by Life Lessons. This is Fault by Life Lessons. Alright, yes, that was awesome. Life Lessons, those guys are super rad. I'm digging their music a lot. That music is definitely going on my Spotify playlist. So, well, basically the fun, exciting part of the podcast is over. Now you've hit the boring part. Welcome to Open Mic's Last Call. Hey, it's not always boring on Open Mic's Last Call, but definitely today is kind of a boring and dry subject, and I think that's why a lot of people aren't talking about it. But just because it's a boring and dry subject doesn't mean it's not important to everyone. And people might not think it affects them. A lot of people, the stock market doesn't directly affect you because you don't have money invested in it, but a lot of times if there is a plunge in the stock market, a lot of times banks will get bailouts, which is essentially, money from the government, and then you're going to get taxed more in order to pay out the government, or the payout, give the money to the government who are giving it to the banks who basically messed up. Or if you're in Greece, they'll have a bail-in, which the banks will basically just take money out of your personal bank to pay for their losses, essentially. That's why people in Greece are so mad. So, all right, so we're going to talk about the debt ceiling. And the Dow Jones hits 21,000. So, we're talking the stock market, the Dow Jones hits 21,000. What the hell does that mean? But, we have to, look back and realize that only in 2008, after the crash, we hit, 6,000 the Dow Jones was at. So, the fact that it's up to 21,000 and the fact that it's had this surge ever since Trump was elected, which is completely artificial. It's built on nothing. Same with everything it pretty much regained under Obama. It was pretty much nothing, just hope. And same with Trump. The surge is just all this, money, these huge investors who have money dumping money in the stock market trying to make money, because let's face it, everywhere else there's no interest. If you buy bonds, you only get paid back 5%. Yeah, after 10, 20, 30 years, those bonds yield, that 5% is basically less than inflation. So you kind of lose money on that. So that's why a lot of people, and the money is so volatile right now, especially what's going on with Brexit. People don't want to invest their money into anything. So the only thing to do is some people are buying gold and then other people are dumping their money into the stock market in hopes that Trump is going to save the economy. So, and that's what's really going on. So let's set up a little context. I mean, this is really would take a long time, but I'm kind of just going to go over the gist of it. And, and if this is interesting to you, go check it out, please, because the debt ceiling and economic disparity between the haves and the have-nots is growing, and it's going to affect everyone. So, all right, so since 1960 to now, healthcare prices have increased 818%. The gross domestic product, or GDP, has increased 168%. But wages, the average wages have only increased 16% since 1960. So what you have is 818% healthcare prices have gone up since 1960. And since 1960, at the same time, wages have only gone up 16%. So that's that right there. That shows it wasn't Obamacare that spiked the prices. This has been going on since the 60s and really accelerated during Reaganomics in the 80s and the whole neoliberal worldview of free trade. So here's another one. It's rent. Rent increase has gone up 56% increase in urban rent price, and that's just since 2000 to 2015. So 56% over 15 years, 2000 to 2015. And remember, wages have only gone up 16% since the 1960s. So, see, it's starting to make sense why everyone's feeling so pinched, because, well, everyone is. Really after the 60s and the feminist movement, that's why women were like, yeah, we're liberated, we're going back to work. Well, yeah, that was a great point. However, it was also kind of starting to become financially necessary for the woman also to go get a small job or get another job or the leading job in a family to be able to survive. Okay, so now that the Dow Jones hit 21,000, what is it? The Dow Jones, the stock market's just made up of a bunch of companies, and one new company, I'm sure a lot of the listeners, you guys are familiar with, is Snapchat. So it's Snap Inc. So, and they own Snapchat. They just went public the other day and this week, and their shares surged 44%, and it went to $24 per share. So this is basically the new economy. It's Uber, Airbnb, Lyft, Facebook, Netflix, and all these companies. They don't really produce anything. I mean, some in a way do, but what they all do is they destroy old industries. And I'm not saying this is necessarily like a bad thing. It's good. Its evolution is good. However, we're not really preparing for this evolution that's going on. I mean, the most obvious example is Netflix. There used to be Blockbuster Video, Hollywood Video, all sorts of local video stores, and these people would employ, anywhere from 5 to 20 people each location, and there'd be several locations in a city. So that created these jobs. Now Netflix comes along, Redbox, and these other Amazon, Hulu, these other online streaming videos sites, and they basically put Blockbuster out of business. And so it's great because I love Netflix, I love Spotify, I love this convenience. However, we're losing all these jobs, so the competition's getting harder. And so we get a few more technical jobs from Netflix and maybe a couple low-end jobs. However, the amount of jobs that a Blockbuster or an old brick-and-mortar store produce is not as much as these new online or Airbnb app stores, basically, these app companies. So that's what's happening, and it's killing industry. Same with the taxi industry. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Again, maybe this is what needs to happen. We're moving into the new 21st century, the new techocracy. so to say. But it's gonna be, we need to change a lot of things because we're gonna lose a lot of jobs, and there's gonna be a lot of people competing for a limited amount of jobs that are gonna require a lot of high education. So that's the long term. Let's talk about something in the short term, the debt ceiling, which I cannot believe more people are not talking about the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling needs to be voted on by March 15th, so basically a week and a day from today. So I'm going to follow up on this next podcast to see if anything happens. But so the U.S. government basically, what's the debt ceiling? The debt ceiling, the government can only borrow so much. It's like kind of like a ceiling that the government set in place, so they have to keep voting on it every time they get to the limit. Right now, it's at like almost a little under 20 trillion, like 19 trillion, but the debt ceiling is set at 20 trillion. So if they don't vote on March 15th to extend or raise the debt ceiling to be able to allow the government to borrow more money in order to pay the bills and to pay for Trump's new spending projects, the government will run out of money. So it would basically cap all borrowing at $20 trillion. So we couldn't borrow any more money. Unless if they did massive cuts and ran a deficit neutral or deficit surplus budget, and then that would take several years to get down, and then maybe we could borrow more. But that would definitely hurt the economy right now. Especially, we wouldn't get a lot of spending. Trump wants to do a lot. 50 billion for the military, I think. It's 15 billion for his wall. He wants 1 trillion for his infrastructure spending, and then also doing tax cuts. He's going to lose revenue coming in. So I don't know how all the spending is going to happen. So how is the Republican Congress going to pass this debt ceiling raise when they're fiscal conservatives and they pretty much won on wanting to cut the government and wanting to cut spending? I don't see, and they were really pretty much the people who were obstructing Obama, and back in 2015 they went against John Boehner, their own, who was basically the Speaker of the House back in 2015, and they rebelled against him, and basically they just had to kick the can down the road and couldn't do anything. Now that's where we are now. It was pretty much Obama and John Boehner who got us to where we are now. So the U.S. government had $1 trillion in debt when Ronald Reagan took office, and that was basically what Reagan did once he left office. He doubled that, which basically is more than all of his predecessors combined. So this whole talking point, Obama added more debt than all his predecessors combined. It's like, yeah, well, Reagan did that, Bush 41 did that, Clinton, Bush, Obama, and it looks like Trump's going to do it. Who knows if they raise the debt ceiling? If they don't raise the debt ceiling, we're not getting any more money. And so if we don't get any more money on the without raising the debt ceiling, it's going to basically, the amount of money that we have on hand will run out around the summertime, is what they're saying. And that's even if the Treasury could cut certain things and do extreme spending measures. So right now we're up to 19 trillion in debt, almost to the 20 trillion ceiling that was set. So let's see what happens. I haven't heard anything in the news, and this would be one of the biggest things that would affect the economy. So if it was any other Congress, any other president, I would be writing this off right now, and I'd be like, oh, it's no big deal, because they're gonna just pass. They're going to pass something midnight, like 11:58, right before the deadline. They'll pass it, and then Obama will sign it really quick. That would be the old way. Or, if Hillary Clinton was president now, that's what I would expect. And I wouldn't think this is such a big deal. I'm not saying the world's going to end, but, I mean, it's definitely going to be something we should watch, because if they don't pass the debt ceiling, it locks in at 20 trillion, and they can't borrow anymore. And then, like I said, in midsummer they run out of money to spend. So social security checks, military checks, a lot of essential government funding programs would cease to have money. So that's definitely something, and we wouldn't be able to pay our bills. And this is basically what got S&P, Standard & Poor's, to downgrade us back last time when this all happened. I believe in 2015 is when we got downgraded. So let's see what we can do, and we'll go from here. But all right, I'm going to end this because this is definitely going way over than what I thought. But that was a lot of content trying to jam into a little amount of time. So I hope everyone enjoyed it. And thanks for checking out another episode of Punk Rock and Politics. And one more time, thank you to Life Lesson, or Andrew from Life Lessons, and the whole band. Because you guys are freaking rad. So go check them out, and we'll catch you later. Peace. Thanks for checking out Punk Rock and Politics. If you enjoyed the show and the information brought to you, please subscribe and share the podcast. It helps us here at Punk Rock and Politics, but more importantly, it helps the featured bands gain exposure. Also, if you know any bands or musicians who would like to join the political mosh pit and have their music featured on the Punk Rock and Politics podcast, please email us at punkrockandpolitics@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. And rock on, political junkies.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives.
Doing a better job of talking to each other. The left hand now knows what the right hand is doing.
Look at those hands. Are they small hands? And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it.